Okay, this is my K4 Suzuki SV650. Great little bike, but I'm unhappy with the front suspension, so I'm going to change the front fork springs for some progressive ones. Obviously the first thing you need to do is support the bike properly whilst you're doing the work. I'm using an ABBA Superbike stand and a car ramp. Right, this is the kit I bought. It contains 2 springs. You can see the progressive nature of the springs. Tight coils this side and not so tight this side. You get some stickers to stick on your bike if you want. Oil and some instructions. Now they're pretty good, but hopefully this video will help as well. First off, I'm going to remove the brake calipers, held on with 2 14mm bolts. The hose is an 8mm, and this will need a 10mm spanner on the shaft of this reflector to take it off. Obviously you don't want to leave the calipers dangling on the hoses, so if you use some string and just support them and then just hold it off the framework somehow, keep it clear of the front wheel. Obviously there's the other side, same thing, 2 14mm bolts, 8mm here, and there's also another 8mm down here for the speedo clamp. Now both calipers are being removed, we can remove the front wheel. Take out this 12mm pinch bolt and then use a 12mm Allen style socket to undo the shaft. Unscrew, and then eventually you can just pull the shaft right out. You'll need to support the wheel, and just bear in mind the speed encoder on this side. Just support that. You'll need to pull it aside. Right, the front wheel's been removed. That's the shaft, which just comes out. The encoder is dangling there. Now we need to remove the front mudguard. It's just a 4mm Allen key or Allen socket, and then 2 10mm bolts here either side, and then it'll just come straight off. Right, you now need to make a measurement of the distance between the top of the clamp and the top of the tubes. Make a note of that distance, you'll need that for later on. Then you can undo this 12mm clamp and then loosen this 22mm cap and do the same the other side. Right, you now need a 12mm socket to undo these 2 bolts here. I've already loosened it, so you should be able to take it by hand. Right, once they're loosened, you can just grab the fork and then slowly twist, and it'll just ease out. There we are. Do the same on the other side. Now the forks have been removed, you can remove this plastic protector. There's an orientation tab here, and then 3 retaining tabs that fit into this groove. They're positioned here, here and here. You can see from this one. Now I just knocked mine off, but you may find it easier to use a small screwdriver. Okay, first of all you need to just unscrew the preload adjustment, so you can still get your socket on, it just reduces some of the pressure, and then you can unscrew, providing a little bit of downward force. You can see the seal there, and then eventually the spring will pop off. There we go. Right, first off we've got the cap. Then the spacer. And then we have the spring, but there is a washer on top of the spring, so just be aware of that. And then the spring can pop out. Now the spring's been removed, we can pour out the oil. You need to actually pump the fork upside down 20 times to make sure all the oil is out. Now I want to inspect the oil seal. To do that you need to remove the dust seal. So you need a small screwdriver, place it in the gap and then gently lever all the way round. Once you've done that you'll find it will pop off, and then you'll be able to inspect the oil seal. Now this one's pretty good, so I won't be changing that. The forks on my bike were quite oxidised, so while they're off the bike I prepped them up and I've used some acrylic car wheel paint. I think it's done quite a good job. This shows the difference between the two springs. The bottom one is the Suzuki and the top one the Hyperpro. I'm going to now follow the Hyperpro instructions for filling the forks. The springs are different, so the oil levels will be different to the Suzuki service manual. So I'm just going to follow the procedure in here. Firstly, fully compress the fork until metal to metal can be heard. And then the instructions tell me to fill the fork with oil until it's 200 millimeters from the top, roughly. A bit more. Now you need to pump the fork 10 to 20 times to ensure all the air is out of it. Now all the air is out of the fork, I need to fill it up with oil until it's 140 millimeters from the top, as per the Hyperpro instructions. So I'm going to pop this in and put it to 140. Just should be the slightest bit on the end, so I know that's 140 millimeters from the top. Now I've done that, I can grab the spring and put it in so the tight coils are at the top. And now you need to just pull up the fork pop in the washer, then the spacer, and then we can put the cap on. I need to put a bit of downward force whilst I'm doing this. Be very careful not to strip the thread. When you're confident you're on about 3 or 4 threads, you can release them and just nip it up with a spanner. Put some of the supplied lubricant underneath the dust seal. Apparently it reduces friction, so I'll pop that on and then push it down, and that's it done. Now the protector is back on the fork, just slide the fork back onto the bike and temporarily clamp it using this pinch bolt. You need to then torque up the cap to 23 Newton meters. This is from the service manual. Once you've done that, you need to reset the distance I talked about at the start between the top of this yoke and the cap. Then tighten this to 23 Newton meters, and the same with these two. Then you do the other side. I've fitted the mudguard, now I'm ready to fit the wheel and the calipers. Now I've just put the axle in temporarily just to show you that this fork is able to move around on this part of the axle. It's only held by this clamp. So once the wheel's on, you need to depress the forks fully a few times and just let this settle into its natural position. Once that's done, we can then tighten this pinch bolt. We need to also just grease the axle lightly before fitting the wheel. Now the calipers are on, we need to torque them up to 39 Newton meters. With the pinch clamp loose, tighten the 12mm axle bolt to 65 Newton meters. Now we need to push the forks as deep as possible a few times to allow them to find the point of least friction. Now these forks are pretty stiff compared to the originals, so it's quite hard work. Right, now I need to just tighten up the pinch bolt at the bottom. Finally, tighten the 12mm axle pinch bolt to 23 Newton meters. Right, that's all done.